So in today's video, we're going to go over how to use our calculator to do things with matrices, operations, and other things that we'd want to do with matrices. So the first part about using our calculator to get matrices is where the matrices menu is located, I guess. So if we look at our calculator over here on the X to the negative first button, I see the word matrix above it in blue. So when I hit second, which is the blue button, and I hit that, it brings me to the matrix menu here. So this is where we'd use the matrices. Like if I want to do something with matrix A, which we'll come back to, I'd choose it from this menu. The math menu is a bunch of things that we can do on matrices. I'll come back to that later. The edit menu is where we actually enter the information of the matrices. So if I'm using the example from our notes, if again, our calculator will name the matrices in alphabetical order. So if I want to input something, I go to the edit. I'm going to choose matrix A. I just have to define the size, right? 3 rows and 2 columns. So I type in a 3 by 2. And I would just enter the information of that matrix. So -5, 2, -1, oops, 6, -4, and 2. So let's enter B right away. So I usually quit out. I hit second quit, and then I go back into the matrix menu. And I just go to edit, and then I'm going to edit matrix B this time. So I would type in, for this matrix, it is 2 rows by 3 columns, so 2 by 3. And again, just filling in the information, so -5, 5, 0, -2, 1, and -3. So before I enter C and D, I just want to show you some things that we can be doing now. So the first thing I guess I want to demonstrate is in that menu. Like if I go now, it'll show me that I have something entered into matrix A and matrix B, so I can see their sizes. So I can just do operations with them. I could take matrix A and I could add matrix B. And it would tell me, oh, I can't do those because their sizes are different, right? We know that we would need to add matrices of the same size, so I can't do that. With this one though, since this one is 3 by 2 and this one is 2 by 3, I should be able to multiply those matrices. You'll notice it gives me the answer as a matrix back. I could take that answer, I could store it to another matrix if I needed it for it. Like let's say I want to store that, just because I'm going to use C and D later, let's just store it to F. So now if I bring up matrix F, it already has that information stored to it. Oops, that's G. But again, you can store matrices just like you would store values. So if I recall it, it tells me what that matrix is. The second thing about the calculator that I'd like us to know when we go into that matrix menu, the math menu has a bunch of things that we want to do with matrices or do to matrices or understand about a matrice. So we won't do many of them, but like for instance, like if I choose option 3, I can perform this operation on a matrix. It's just going to tell me the dimensions of that matrix. It's a 3 by 2 matrix. So that math menu allows you to do things to matrices. So on our notes here, we do have C and D as matrices. You don't need to watch me enter those into my calculator. Like I would just go to C and edit it. C is a 3 by 3 matrix. So what I want you to do right now is just pause the video and enter C and D into your calculator. So after you've entered your information for C and D, you can see my matrix C exists there. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. But I have information for matrix C and D entered into my calculator. So like I should pull up matrix C, and I should see that that's matrix C, what you entered there. I can check that matrix D is correct by pulling that up. So again, you have that entered in your calculator. So now when I'm performing operations on my calculator, I'm literally just going to type in the phrase. So if I wanted to take the sum of matrix A times B, so matrix A times matrix B, I would want to add the sum of matrix C times the matrix D. So we're just going to type that into our calculator. And it'll give us the answer. I'm just going to slide that over to our notes. So we have it there. And for the last one, if I want to do -3 of matrix D times A, again, my calculator will do that for me. The very last thing about matrices is what if I'm trying to do a calculator function that like it doesn't define the matrices as A, B, C, and D? Like what if it was just something like this problem here that I had to multiply? So there's another way to do matrices. Like you can just enter a matrix into the home screen without actually entering it into the matrix menu. So it's another function of our calculator. So like for me, F1, F2, and F3 are in green. So I've hit alpha, F3. It brings up the matrix menu, so I can enter a matrix here. So if I'm doing example C, this matrix has 4 rows. So I select 4 on the rows, sorry. And then the columns, there was 3 columns. So that'll enter this matrix when I go down and select OK. It'll enter the matrix into my calculator right here. So I can just simply go in and type the numbers. Whoops. Sorry, I just hit the wrong button. So I'm just trying to bring that back up. So again, the alpha menu, function 3, and my matrix was a 4 by 3, so it's already there for me. I'm just going to hit OK. Now when I'm doing it here, when I do -8, I have to slide over with the right arrow to change things. Like I can't hit the enter button because it'll actually try to evaluate the matrix. So just make sure that you're using the arrows to navigate through the parts of the matrix. It's a little cumbersome here, I guess is what I would say. I like using the matrix menu a little bit better, but this is fine if it's just like a one-time thing that you only have to enter one matrix. Like you will never have to do an operation with it again. So as I finish entering or struggling to enter the data for the first matrix, it's -1. And the last entry there is a 1. So I want to multiply it by another matrix. So I'm just going to hit right until I'm outside of that matrix. And now I need to enter a 3 by 2 matrix. So again, alpha, F3. Now my matrix, the number of rows is 3. And the number of columns is only 2. So it brings up another matrix when I hit OK. So I can enter the information for that matrix. 0, 5, and then -5, -2, and -1. And again, once I hit enter here, it'll still perform the same operations as if I entered them into the matrix menu. So that's the most important things that you need to know on your calculator for using matrices to start in section 3.6.